Welcome back, everyone, to OpenLine. We are talking restaurants. Randy Rayburn is here. He's now a consultant with Music City Hospitality Consulting, but of course he's somebody who's opened a bunch of restaurants all over Nashville. And we have more calls. So let's just go back to the phones here. Let's go to Sam. Hello, Sam.
Hi, how are you all tonight?
Fine. What's on your mind?
You know, I just wanted to piggyback on what Sherry said. Nashville is losing Nashville in all of this new market and influx of corporations coming here. Restaurants like the Hermitage Cafe, I was there up until the very end. I think I went every day the last week they were open. Rotiers, I went to church at one time with the Rotiers. Those places and people that you build connections with is dying. And the city that people are moving here for won't be here much longer if this continues. I don't know if the directives are coming from the mayor's office of rebuild, revamp, and redo Nashville. I don't know where they're coming from, but I know we're losing too much of our history. I just saw one of the Nashville 9 buildings demolished just last week. The old recording studio out on Dickerson Road by Ray Charles, sometimes Elvis Presley, Sam Cooke, all those recording artists, they had recorded in that studio. It's gone. So in the process of all of this growth and unaffordability, which the unaffordability is out of the roof. I had 3 calls today wanting my house. So, you know, we got to do something. Somewhere along the line it has to change. And I don't know who's going to drive that train to make the difference in this city, but we've got to get back to real Nashville again, and we're going to be gone.
All right, let's talk about that. You haven't been afraid to jump in on some issues in your time here in Nashville. What do you think about what she's saying there?
Well, I don't think the mayor's office has any control over it. It's market forces. It's, once again, real estate values are driving, buying people's homes so that they can rent them out. And to me, part of the problem with that is all these Airbnb units are no longer available to be rental properties in Nashville, and you've got 12 to 15,000 that may or may not be legally registered, but at least 12,000 registered and more. I think that you've got homes being purchased by large corporations on Wall Street now that are buying up homes and re-renting them at unbelievable rates. You've got businesses that are classic and iconic places that the people who are operating them can't afford to pay the rent anymore. As we were talking about, it's supply and demand. There is no Oz controlling things.
No.
I wish there was, and I wish they had, the public's interest in mind. But I think it is a pluralistic evolvement of a growth cycle of the economy that now is going to tamp down a little bit, although consumers are still spending a lot. But once again, we're in a Sunbelt town and people are moving here whether we like it or not, and we can't control how many people want to be here. Now, prices are going to impact where they live. I don't know where employees in the hospitality and other industries, 44%, I believe, make median wage.
Right.
Where can they afford to live if they don't already have a place in Davidson County? I have people driving from Kentucky every day. I have people that are driving from Deckard, Tennessee, 70 miles a day.
Wow.
Each way.
Wow.
Because Nashville is no longer affordable for them to work in. This is one of the things that really concerns me, because one, even if they did live here, a lot of people who are working for $20 an hour, if they could find something, to me was close to a living wage. They say it's $18 and something, but how do they get to work? The transit system here doesn't, shuts down. It's like they pull up the sidewalks, and shut it down, before midnight because they're going to get the last buses there, not pay overtime. We don't have a good transit system even within the city for the workforce to be able to get there, and we've got too many cars on the roads now, and we're not even back to 2019 levels or February 2020 levels. The caller is on target, Ben. I'm not smart. It's above my pay grade to understand how to influence it or change it.
These are some of the biggest issues that we're facing as a city. They go well beyond the restaurant industry. I want to ask you, as a restaurateur, somebody who's done this for 40 years in this city, I guess take us to the restaurant you opened that was maybe the hardest to open. or what you're looking for when you open a restaurant, and then kind of put a name of one of your restaurants behind it. What went into opening one of your restaurants, and what are you looking for?
When I opened up Sunset Grill in 1990 in November, I had come back to Nashville in the fall of '84 from the Culinary Institute in Hyde Park, New York. And I gave myself a 5-year vision plan to own my own restaurant. So I went to work for other people to open restaurants or do turnarounds. I opened on, Mere Bulls downtown, which is still, there's one out in Brentwood, Maryland Farms now that Steve Smith, a good friend, has. But the problem was I didn't have the capital. I wound up being told by my accountant that the only way I was going to be able to open up a restaurant was to sell my home, because I could only borrow 80% equity in that home, and I'd bought that in 1978 as an investment, and I had housemates that helped pay the mortgage and help pay the utilities and all that along the way. And I wound up selling it because he said the worst thing that could happen is you're renting a home and you're looking for a job. And it's frankly very liberating, because I was tired of working for people I didn't respect, because I wanted to build a restaurant that was my vision of a quality, casual, fine dining restaurant, unpretentious, with good quality food that was affordable, but not the meat and three that I grew up with on the farm in Milan, Tennessee, that my grandmother taught me how to cook growing up, with her fried chicken, with bacon grease, and the Crisco cans that had the lard out of them, and filled with bacon grease. And that's all great food, which is part of what Elliston Soda Shop was about, bringing that to the modern era, but with a clean facility, front and back of the house. But I opened up Sunset Grill and took a $5 per square foot space in Hillsborough Village, which had fallen on hard times, not unlike Elliston Place today. And I wound up being able to rent that bicycle shop space that had closed before bicycle shops became, eponymous everywhere. And my friend, I didn't know that the space existed. I was sitting with Jody Faison, my friend, and he said, how about over there? I think they're going to open up a sports bar over there. And I was like, okay. So I went to my friend Jay Pennington, who's got Urban Grub and now Buttermilk Ranch, and he was in the equipment business. And he showed me the plans for what some people were trying to do. And ultimately, I was negotiating on 3 other sites and some of existing restaurants that were for sale. And I wound up going there, and that space, they decided not to do that. And I wound up working with the landlord. I'd sold my home because I knew I had to burn the bridge behind me. And he said, if you don't believe in yourself, nobody else will. And I had an investor who was a former roommate who lived in New York, who was head of Ryder Publisher Administration for BMI in New York. And he loaned me $40,000. And I put up $100,000 that I had in equity after I paid off all my bills. And we opened up, and I had to borrow money from him the first week to make payroll.
Wow.
But there was no opportunity. I couldn't afford to fail. So I surrounded myself with a staff that followed me wisely or foolishly. And we opened up Sunset Grill November 20th. Thanksgiving happened that week. I was putting up shelving, and my buddy Barry Penley went and got turkey dressing from O'Charlie's. But my buddy Tom Lee, who Tom was doing a story on us that weekend, on a 3-day story, how hard it was to open a business in a recession. Well, it hit, and we started going like gangbusters until the bombing of Desert Storm stopped, and the business stopped.
Oh, my goodness.
And fortunately, it was a short war.
All right, we have to take a break. See, I'm fascinated by all that. We'll take a break. Be back right after this.